Hi there. This is video 2 in the locks, rekeying, and master keying series, I guess we'll call it. We're going to start this video about figuring out your key cuts because, as you'll see, there's a lot of different pins. So, some keys, and factory Schleg, we like this. I can find a factory Schleg key. Here we go. They have a number. If you can see that. Maybe? Yes, no? You gonna focus for me? Autofocus not gonna work. You should be able to see this one. Yeah, you can see that. 475427. Well, what is that? Those are your cuts. Usually measured from bow to tip. So here's a key gauge. This one's for Schleg. This is a Schleg C keyway. Put in, slide down until it stops. You can see it stops on 4, 7, 5, 4, 2, 7. What this is handy for is if you get a key with no numbers. Let's decode this one. Looks like a 8, 4, 7, 4, 8. So, if we didn't know the numbers, we write that down on a piece of paper. And then we get our pinning kit. Now, it may not be a full pinning kit like this. It may be a bag of 25 pins or so. If we just, maybe it's just Schleg, or maybe it's just Quickset. This is a full lab kit, 5 thousandths. They have 5 thousandths and 3 thousandths. This one just happens to be 5. I've supplemented a bit with some security pins, which we'll get into later this video. But let me take this off here. As you can see, there are lots of different pins. I mean, our key pins, if you remember from last video, the pointed pins, and that actually go in the plug, go from 150 thousandths all the way up to 360 thousandths in 5 thousandths increments. That's a lot of different pins. And for top pins, or wafers, we go from 10 thousandths to 300 thousandths. Most of the time, an actual key or driver pin, top pin, probably not going to be shorter than 115, 110. After that, I consider a wafer. So, yeah, we talk about key gauge. Tweezers come in handy again. So, let's say we decode this key, and it's 475427. Or let's say we got another lock and we need it keyed up to this key. Well, how do we know what those equal? You can either look up online, there's lots of good resources, or lab and other pin kits have diagrams or charts for most popular locks. I mean, you can see we got all the Rustlins, Corbins over here, Dexter, Quickset, Wiser, Yale, Lockwood, Arrow, Sargent, Westlock. But the one we want is right here, Schleg. And I'll try and zoom in on that. So we see a 4, and we find depth of cut of 4, and the number here is actually how deep into the key you cut, if you're cutting on a key machine or a punch. Then that is the pin we need. That's a master pin, which we'll get into next video, and that tells you the top pin you need for each key pin. So we are going to go at 4, which is a 225 thousandths pin, which is right here, running kind of low on them. Then we're going to go to a 7, which is a 270 thousandths pin. And lab pins are nice because they're color coded. You know, instead of having a whole bunch of gold or a whole bunch of silver pins. It's pretty convenient. Then we have a 5 cut, which is 240. No, another 4 cut. A 2 cut, which is a, looks like a 195. And a 7 cut, which, if we remember, is 270. And as a side note, if you look in my pinning kit, the ones I'm low on happen to be the common pin sizes for Schleg. But, yeah, that's just the way it works. Now, if we look carefully at any pinning chart here, I'll just zoom in on the, let's do the Schleg, just since we're working with Schleg here. We can see it says a couple things. ED, TFC, BCC, and max. ED stands for effective diameter, the depth and length of the bottom pin that creates a proper shear line. Basically, it's the bottom pin plus the top pin needs to equal something close to that for smooth key operation. For example, if you crammed a really long driver and a really long key pin in, the key wouldn't be able to go in because there wouldn't be enough room for a pin to go up. TFC is to first cut, meaning from the bow of the key, right there, that uncut portion, to the first cut. And then max, which is very important, maximum adjacent cut specifications. Now if we look back at our chart for Schleg, we can see max equals 7, meaning we can have, as long as the difference between the numbers is 7 or less, we're good. But if I put like a, 2 next to a 9 or 1 next to a 9, the key would be really rough going in and out and possibly jam. So max is very important. Between cut centers and 2 first cut, they're important, but they really come into play more when you're dealing with this cut depth and you're cutting a key. So there's that. Talk about pin types here really quick. I gotta zoom you guys back out. Oh, I guess the camera wants to go nuts. And we can see it says, man, the autofocus is really bad. T, all the pins up here say the length and then T, and all the ones down here say length and B. T simply stands for top, meaning it touches the spring. You can see cylinder springs, various kinds down here. And B is bottom pin, these that go in the plug acted on by the driver pin and spring. These in the center, direct from lab, these slots are open. Add some security pins, and I guess we'll talk about security pin types in this video because this is about pins. And I'll just get some out really quickly here. The common ones. So here we have in the first row or column, we have different types of spool pins. And I'm going to do something that I rarely, in fact I've never done. I'm going to wipe the camera mid-video. Oh, that makes you look like a rookie. Oh man, it didn't even help. Focus, please. Let's try this. There we go. That's beautiful. We have spool pins. We have a ASA pin, double spool. We have a serrated pin, and then we have a T pin. And we'll all come back to those, because those are kind of special. It's worth knowing that you can have security pins in either key pins, such as this one, or driver pins like this. You can see a spooled key pin and a spooled driver. Now, getting back to T-pins. Some locks have what are called construction keyholes. And I believe this one has it, so I'm going to take this one apart really quickly off camera for you. I'll explain what they are. Basically, you can put very small ball bearings between your key and your driver pin to allow a contractor, key you issue a contractor to work until you stick your key in and turn it. Then those little ball bearings drop into these holes, meaning the shear line for the key you gave to a contractor is no longer a valid shear line. The cuts on their key are too deep. And we can see those holes here. This would not be a lock you would want to put a T-pin in this way, because what would happen is you'd turn and it would drop in there and you'd seize the core. And there's a little trick you can do. I may show it at some point. You can make a lock into a key trap. I might show it at some point. It won't be in this series, but if you guys want to see that, just leave a comment. I might do it anyway. We'll see. Anyway, back to the video that I was originally getting at, which is pinning up locks. And let me put these back so I can close up my pin kit. Because it would be very bad if we flipped this over. Just because you close it doesn't mean it's closed. Click, click, click. Always latches. Because you know if you're going to close it, someone's going to come by the handle and pick it up. This is the same lock that I took apart in the previous video. So we're going to, same thing, unscrew this. There goes that detent and that spring I was telling you about. We're going to stick our key in, key in, and these are follow and push out. I'm going to keep these key pins in order, just because it's a good practice to keep things in order. Would you look at that? They're all kind of similar. We might have actually measured correctly. Put this pin in. this pin in. That one. That's 3, 4, 5, and 6. Do a check, make sure they're flush, which they are. And when we push this back in, lock operates smoothly. You just proceed by putting your detent in, screwing your nut and tailpiece back on, or you're putting a clip on your tailpiece back on, depending on the type of cylinder you're working on. And you're good to go. Next video is going to be master keying locks, which is probably something you're not going to do in residential, but it's a good topic. So, with that being said, that's all I got for this video. Thanks for watching.